Welcome back to Perkins Pipes. Got a fun pipe here. It's the Black Falcon. Sometimes I bring this one out when I'm doing stuff around outer space because I think it kind of, maybe a little space-agey, science-y. But I also think it's kind of fun, just the whole idea of the Falcon and how the Falcon is constructed. It's a fun pipe, and we're definitely talking about something fun, actually funny, today. So as always, let's get this guy lit. Let's get to talking. I'd done 2 other episodes about favorite comic strips. One was on Bloom County, and one was on Calvin and Hobbes. And for the last in this series of my favorite comic strips, and I've got lots that I've enjoyed over the years, but these are just 3 of my favorites. We're going to wind it up with one that several of you have talked about in the comments, I believe. The Far Side. I had a couple of collections of these guys back in the day. Ooh, let's see if we can get these. There we go. Get them in the picture there. Had a couple of these guys back in the day. Absolutely adore the Far Side. They're usually one-panel cartoons, if you know them. And what I absolutely love about the Far Side to me, the humor is entirely based around seeing things in a different way. Seeing things in a way you would not have ordinarily considered. For example, I think this is hilarious. So here's this one here. You see a caveman doing a presentation for his fellow cavemen. And he's talking about this dinosaur with all these spikes on his tail. Now, first of all, the whole idea of a caveman doing a basically like business, or in this case maybe safety presentation, that in itself is just hilarious, right? Obviously, then wouldn't have had the technology. And the presenter points to the tail of the dinosaur and the spikes. He says, now this end is called the thagomizer, ... after the late Thag Simmons. That's absolutely hilarious to me because obviously referring to one of their friends who got killed by this dinosaur, and the fact that the guy's name was Thag Simmons, right? For the time period when cavemen are supposedly around, right? That was absolutely hilarious. And I can literally go anywhere in this. All right, here's actually 2 on this page. Let's see what we get here. Let's go with this one here. Let's go with this one right here. So you see a couple of guys, and they are observing some people in a canoe, and you see the people in the canoe have a bunch of hats on a stick. And the one guy is saying to the other guy, he says, hat hunters. Funny, right? Because you used to think about head hunters, and these guys are going around hunting hats. Now this is one of the rare or less common ones where you have the panel split. You can get that there. And so you see a guy who's making a call. It's going through the operator. This is back in the days when we had operators. And here's the guy who's receiving the call. And it says, yes, will you accept a collect call from Mr. Ah? Because obviously, at the moment the guy was making the call, that's when he fell out the window. And so the operator just states it as a matter of fact that his scream was actually his name. I cannot believe that I actually just turned to one of my all-time favorites. I love this one right here. So here you go. You see it. There's the cows. They're standing on their hind legs, rather anthropomorphic. The one cow yells out, car. Actually, yeah. Well, I gotta be honest, Gary Larson kind of got me confused here because he's got horns on them as if they're bulls, but they've got udders if they're a cow. Whatever, hardly important. They go back on all fours just as the car comes down the road. As soon as the car's gone, they've gone back to standing on their hind legs anthropomorphically. It's kind of that, hey, what are animals really doing when we're not around them? Now, I find that stuff just absolutely hilarious. Here's another one. When these things get a little dark, here's the polar bears. Let's see, here we go. Here's the polar bears eating, crunching into an igloo. And the guy says, oh, hey, I just love these things. Crunchy on the outside, chewy inside. Let that one hit you. All right. It's the kind of thing that we would say maybe about a piece of candy or something. These polar bears are saying it because, well, you know who's living in an igloo, right? Human beings. And I don't know what we got here. So here's the little porcupine family. And baby porcupine's playing with the balloon. Mom and Dad sitting on the sofa. Dad says, well, that shouldn't last long. Which is exactly the sort of thing that a human dad might say about something that a child's playing with that he just knows good and well the child is going to break soon. From the perspective of the porcupines. And I have to say, I should have put this in the notes. But the last one of these that I did, which was on Calvin and Hobbes, when I was editing and putting the video together, I was laughing out loud at the particular cartoons that I had found to read in the cartoons. Oh, look at this. Here's a woman. Oh, heaven's sakes. Having a hard time holding on to the book here. All right. So here is, well, Perkins learned to do it. All right, so here's a woman. And there's a squid in her house. And it's captured and is taken to her husband, presumably. So she calls up Harry's Squid Be Gone shop. The only problem is the guy's out of the office. Now that's the sort of absurd humor. Some of you like really absurd stuff like that. It reminds me of the 1960s era Batman television show, which is quite a bit of absurd humor. Loved watching the television show growing up, but also the movie that came out, which is, I think, also in the 60s. Adam West is Batman, Burt Ward as Robin. And Frank Gorshin played the Riddler, and had a couple different women play Catwoman. There was Julie Newmar, I think to me is a classic one. Eartha Kitt played Lee Merriweather, played Catwoman. Cesar Romero played the Joker. It's that one, right? But in the movie, there's a scene where Batman is climbing down this ladder. Robin is piloting the Batcopter. And they're out over water. Well, as Batman is getting down the ladder, all of a sudden a shark jumps up and grabs a hold of him. Now, first of all, it's absolutely hilarious because it is so obviously, they're not even attempting to hide the fact that this is a rubber shark. Batman yells back up to Robin. He says, Robin, pass down the shark repellent. First of all, that there would even be such a thing as shark repellent. And then Robin, the camera shifts to Robin's view inside the cockpit of the Batcopter. And there's all these other repellents. aerosol cans. Right? There's manta ray repellent and whatever else, electric eel repellent, and all these different repellents that he's looking for, the shark repellent. So, like in this cartoon, how absurd that there would even be a squid in your house. Funnier on top of that is the fact that there would be a place in town called Harry's Squid Be Gone. So apparently this is a big enough problem in town that there's a guy who deals with this. And then on top of that, there's the absurdity. The woman is calling her time of need, probably the one time only when she would have to call Harry's Squid Be Gone. And Harry is out of the shop. Be back in the jiffy. I remember so many others. One I loved, I think it's probably in one of these collections. I won't try to find it, but shows a guy in like a zookeeper's outfit. And he's in this room, and you see it's all of the snake containers, right? Glass front in the wall. And there's this guy, and he's sitting on the floor, and you can see from the little jittery lines, he's just shaking. And the caption reads something like, after 30 uneventful years, Harry comes down with a collective case of the willies. I just find that so funny. So, what do you think about The Far Side? Did you read The Far Side? Did you ever have any collections of The Far Side? What do you like about The Far Side? And if you're one of the people who says, dude, I think Far Side humor is stupid. Why do you think that? We'd love to know your thoughts. Folks, as always, as Malcolm Guite likes to say, I do these little things in order at last to do nothing. Or as I like to say in Latin, Parva ago ut tandem, nihil agam. Have a wonderful day.